8. And on page 6, Tinubu removes Edu, names Oyedele as finance minister. El Rufai to remain in ICPC custody till June as court fails to rule on bail application. Leadership crisis. Appeal court affirms Nenadi Usman as LP leader, dismisses Julius Abure's appeal. And that story is on page 6. Moving on to page 20. Why I resigned as presidential aide, and that's coming from Olanrewaju. One-man race. How Governor Aliyu's governance shapes Sokoto 2027 contest. Lagos unveils cybersecurity guidelines to tackle rising digital threats. Local, and that story is on page 21. And talking of infotech, Nigeria's risk losing digital control of cyberspace, and that's coming from Nigeria Internet Registration Association. Moving on to page 23. Visa restrictions, how global barriers are reshaping Nigeria's diaspora economy, and that's on page 23. How YouTube is fueling Nigeria's creative and entrepreneurial resurgence to become global commodities. And talking of Entrepreneurship Digest, that story is on page 24. World Creativity Day. NCSP champions innovation as catalyst for Nigeria-China growth. Nigeria leads as Google names startups for 10th Africa Accelerator Program. And that story is on page 25. On page 28, we have cartel forfeits 33.6 billion naira illicit drugs to federal government at Onne Port. More defections at reps. PDP loses 5 members, APC 2. APC chieftain members stage peaceful protest over alleged imposition of candidates, jettisoning of zoning arrangement in Oyo. And moving on to sports stories on page 31. Lampard resurrected my career. That's coming from Iwobi. Eagles still need the hair nacho, says Adekboju. Nwakeme fires up teammates ahead Turkish Cup clash. And lastly, we have Arsenal will still win EPL title, says Wenger. And that's all we have on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Moving on to the Vanguard newspaper on the front page, we have alleged coup. Ex-Minister Silva, retired general, others charged with treason. Suspect to be arraigned at Federal High Court, Abuja today. And that story is on page 5. Tinubu removes Edun, Dangiwa as ministers. And that's on page 9. And on page 14, 2027, Enugu visits Tinubu, declares total support. NGE flays attempt by NBC to gag broadcasters. And that's on page 33. I made mistakes but did my best, Jonathan replies Atiku. And that story is on page 8. Taking some of the inside stories on page 4, we have Gusau Airport, Zamfara's gateway to prosperity and security. Alleged coup, federal government files treason charge against ex-minister Silva, retired general, others suspect to be arraigned today. And that's on page 5. Moving on to more stories on page 8 and page 9. NAT rejects federal government's 30% salary increase, says it's provocative. I made mistakes but did my best, Jonathan replies Atiku. Right now we have a commercial break and we'll be right back for the rest of the newspaper review. Please stay with us.
Below 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Still on the Vanguard newspaper, running you through stories on page 8 and page 9. Hungary's incoming prime minister threatens to arrest Netanyahu over alleged Gaza war crime. Insecurity. You can't silence me, U.S. lawmaker tells Matawale, and that's still on page 8. Federal government eyes sustainable airport operations, stronger PPP framework in FAN. Tinubu removes Edun Dangiwa as ministers. Oyedele elevated to finance minister, Dama ministerial nominee. We are in hot pursuit of fleeing terrorists who killed soldiers in Kwara, and that's coming from the DHQ. Abdul Razak compensates families of dead soldiers killed in Kayama. Court order role, INEC could face fresh legal battles, timetable disruption, NNPP warns. ADC lawmakers tackle Tinubu over street convention remark, raise concerns over judiciary, INEC. All stories are on page 9. And on page 12, we won't just speak, ADC will hold power to account, and that's coming from Ogene. We will challenge INEC's buyers, reclaim Nigeria in 2027. 2027, why youth must unite, resist vote buying. And that's coming from Ahmadiyya leader Abdulaziz, insists terrorism has nothing to do with Islam. And that story is on page 12. Celebrating our military's heroic actions across multiple theaters. And that's on page 14, 2027. Enugu visits Tinubu, declares total support. Killings, don't flee ancestral homes. Plateau Council boss tells residents. Fault security operatives over failure to arrest attackers. And that's on page 15. And still on the same page, 2027 polls. NDC holds National Convention, May 9, adjusts Congress timetable. Benue kidnap victims, rescue shows federal government winning anti-terror war. And that's coming from the presidency. And moving on to page 32. ILCU decries erosion of values as HLF honors 13 Nigerians. Appeal Court affirms Abure's sack as Labour Party's national chairman. Orders him to pay 10 million naira fine for abuse of judicial process. UK-Nigeria trade mission builds on state visits momentum to drive commercial outcomes. Federal government files treason charge against ex-minister Silva, Major General, others. Taking some sports stories on the back page. Real Madrid to battle Barcelona for Seamen. World relays. Team Nigeria begins preparations as camp opens in Lagos. FIFA ranking. Super Falcons move up one step despite inaction. 2025-2026 NPFL season ends May 24, and that's coming from Omi. And lastly, we have Lookman tipped as Griezmann's replacement. And that's all we have on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. We'll be right back shortly after this break. Please stay with us. for staying with us this morning. We will be talking security, something that concerns everyone. And of course, there's been a lot of reaction to this particular issue, talking of the reintegration of 744 ex-terrorist matters arising. Let's look at the federal government's plan. A few days ago, the federal government announced that 744 former terrorists and victims of violent extremism will be reintegrated into the society following their graduation from the federal government de-radicalization, rehabilitation and reintegration camp under Operation Safe Corridor. To do justice to this particular conversation this morning, we have a legal practitioner and retired intelligence officer, Mr. Fasai Akinsomi Esquire. Good morning, sir.
Nice meeting you. Good morning.
Thank you very much for having you. Looking at the reintegration, this particular program by the federal government, we've been having a lot of reaction, but I think we should, talk about, let's have your reaction first before going into the nitty-gritty of this particular issue.
Well, if anybody heard about the announcement, I know many people will be really apprehensive. That how are you going to bring these people back into the system? Is this going to be a positive or a negative development? Personally, I share both views, and then everything depends on how the federal government, really manage the situation. The situation is not as bad as people are thinking, but it may be as worse if it is badly implemented, because it may be counterproductive at the end of the day.
When you say the situation is not as bad as people are making it seem, now when we have 744 ex-terrorists going back into the society, and when we say reintegrating them, maybe we should start with where will they be reintegrated back into? Which of the society will they be integrated back into? Will there be a particular state, where they will be taken into, or they will be scattered around, or, taken around the states to start their lives afresh? Where exactly will the integration, how will it commence?
That is why I said earlier, it depends on the implementations. Are they going to be in the military, or are they putting them in the police, the law enforcement agencies, or in the agricultural sectors, or in the immigration, or in the foreign affairs? So that's why I say the implementations matter.
All right. So this conversation is a very intriguing conversation that we are having, because it's not the first time that we have spoken about this plan. As a matter of fact, we're finding out that over the period of time, we have had over 2,600 ex-terrorists passing through a system similar like this over time. I remember from the time of Goodluck Jonathan, there had been conversations to be had about this particular thing. But then the huge question is, it's coming at a time where people are crying for therapy, for rehabilitation, for the victims, the people whose houses have been destroyed, whose communities have been destabilized, who have had their communities sacked, who have seen their loved ones killed, who have seen their means of livelihood taken away from them forcefully with violence. And there's nothing been done for them, practically nothing done for them so far. And that we're looking at such move having been in existence over years in support of people who have been perpetrating the evil, but nothing being done for them. Well, you say you had mixed feelings. Do you think, it is something that would help, cater to the situation right now?
You see, why I'm really worried is that let's put up this scenario. Somebody is in ID camp, probably his father, his mother, his major breadwinners of the families have been killed by terrorists, and the same person that perpetrated such acts is now probably employed back into the military or the police, and probably as senior officers, because some of them are they were well read, but as senior officers. And now went to the IDP camp for inspection to monitoring. And the victim now saw somebody who was the mastermind of the act that brought them to the ID camp. Psychologically, they will be disturbed. And if you are not very careful, some people may now be thinking that go into areas of terrorism with plan to repent may even be more lucrative than saying you are looking for a normal job. Because you just used to do to be terrorist for about 1 or 2 years. After that, you repent, you go for a program for reintegration, and you are employed. So we need to be extremely careful so that they will not see it as another lucrative means of being employed.
We'll have to come back to the part of the people, the victims now, and of course, how they feel about this or how they will perceive this. But looking at this initiative and with the rising insecurity we are currently facing, we saw what happened 2 days ago in Kwara State, where some soldiers were killed, with some residents also. Is this a necessary initiative, and also is it coming at the right time?
You see, those who put it up at these particular times, they may have their own views, and they may not be heard now to explain why you introduced this thing at this particular time. Well, as a matter of time, my own opinion is that the task that they are given will determine whether, because there are a lot of areas that people can be integrated to. But for them to be in a place where they will be seen as fighting terrorism, in my own view, may not yield the desired result, because they may become double agent at the end of the day, working for the government and working for their previous.
So we have to question that repentance itself, the repentance of the terrorists.
And that aspect is a state of mind, and it's abstract. It cannot be seen. If you want somebody is behaving as if he's 100% lawyer, absolutely, and it may not be so. And unless you do very good, constant monitoring and fetching, it may be a double agent for so many years.
Okay, well, now we are finding out that they're trying to tell us, that's governments on this one, are trying to tell us that they cannot win insurgency purely with bullets out there on the field. And they're trying to encourage the terrorists to surrender, so to speak. They're also trying to break the extremist ideology. I don't know if that will work, in total. We're also seeing them claiming that they are trying to reduce recruitment into all those terrorist groups as well. But this comes, at a time where we are having raised concerns in some certain communities. For example, now, recently in Plateau State, the military said they arrested some individuals with weapons. The communities are lashing out and saying, these are not terrorists. These are people who are protecting our communities. And we are not giving them the right support. These are the only people who are defending us. And then we see them being arrested. And after they have been arrested, we are seeing a case where terrorists are coming in to attack their communities. It's very interesting when you have that. But before we get into the real question on that particular side, we'll go for this commercial break. And then when we return, we'll talk about double agents, these moves, and some of these communities who are speaking.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. Yes, if you're just joining us, we are speaking about the reintegration of 744 ex-terrorists, and yes, matters arising from that side. And we are in conversation with Mr. Fatai Akinsomi, Esquire, who is a legal practitioner and retired intelligence officer. And just before we went on that break, I was talking about some communities protesting the arrest of some of their youth who they say have been defending them. And, almost immediately after they have been arrested by Nigerian military men, they find out that they are having violent attacks on them. And it raises a lot of questions about those who have been reintegrated into the military before, or maybe double agents and all of that, and the works instead of protection. We are seeing increased calls for, scrutinizing the Nigerian military again and again. What's happening in here?
You see, the scenario you put on board, you cannot just look at it from one side. We have seen the situations where the traditional head of a village is involved in terrorism, terrorizing the same community, of which is the number one person. If the community wants to have some youths employed, the process is there also should be, the normal process should be followed. They should be able to liaise with the appropriate security offices or establishment within the location so that they be properly documented. You cannot say because you are just there, you just bring about a social person, they are militant, they are people protecting you. It's nothing bad. Law does not forbid intelligence security protections of community. But at the same time, they should also follow the procedure that must have been laid down by the government of the day or the security establishment within that jurisdiction.
All right, let's look at it from the standpoint of the law. When we have suspects or people who have been arrested, yes, and they've been tried and they've been found wanting, or they were engaged in crimes, killings, maiming of people, and every other crime we could think of, talking of related to terrorism. What does the law say about it? And is there a provision in the law where that spoke about reintegration of these people back into the society?
That aspect is the executive's arm of government initiative. If they are not terrorists, if they are armed robbers, other criminals sentenced, and that's why they changed the names of prison to correctional centers. It is the belief that that's why you go to the prison now. You see some of them learning one trade or the other, so that by the time they are brought back to the society after finishing their jail time, they will have been changed person. So they don't say that they should be eliminated outrightly. Probably the government of the day might have that clue from that arm, which is more or less universal in one word. So that even if you are terrorist, yes, and you are repentant, even if you are not repentant, probably you are sentenced for certain time. After finishing, you can still be reintegrated back to society.
But were they ever tried?
said ex-terrorists. Some might have been tried. Some might probably they have repented sometimes some years back, and they have their list, and they have the opinion that instead of creating a situation where they will be tempted to go back to their something, let us just see how we can engage them. If they are engaged and they are posted or employed or integrated into an area where the victims of their acts, you not see them as a big brother now, seeing them in with drivers in official car, with even escorts. That will be creating psychological problem for the victims. And but the agricultural something is there, so many areas that they can work in also, that they may be productive, and at the same time will be far from the issue of terrorism.
Speaking of what you just mentioned now, are we going to be seeing plans from the federal government? I mean, because at this time, Nigerians need clarification on a lot of things. And we also need to understand that there are proper plans in place to ensure that what they're trying to do now will not come back to haunt us. It's the same government that is showing us that they're trying some of those terrorists who have been captured in courts. We are seeing the same move about them doing the Operation Safe Corridor, but nothing about those whose homes have been ransacked, those who have been displaced and have lost loved ones. So if we have that, I think there should be some good communication on what they intend to do next. And we're supposed to be seeing foundations of that already to ensure that people would now trust, because we cannot achieve any of these things without the people's trust.
You see, I think I heard sometimes about the program for those who are in IDP. I think there might be problem of communication, and which I will advise that the government need to prioritize that. Because if you don't educate people, send the information to the people, there's no how they will know. So I don't think they left the IDP just like that. The level might be averagely low, but at least they are also rehabilitating those in IDP.
But we still have a lot of people in the IDP camps that have not been able to return to their communities, to their various families, and yet we are talking about reintegration of, the same people who displaced these people. Now let's look at having a mental picture of what this will do to the displaced victims. How do you think, is it not going to heighten, tension in some of these communities amongst people in the IDP camps, hearing that the people who have displaced them are being reintegrated back into the society? How do you think the government is going to, or do you think can the government eventually contain the reaction from the victims?
You see that aspect, even where they are sentenced, if they finish their sentence term also, they will still go back to the community. Because you cannot say, because of the social oppression, let them go back once they have finished the jail term. That's why I said that the government communication system should be improved, 1. 2, where they are placing them, where they are integrating them. Let's give examples of those who are now into agricultural something. The community may have even see them as, so though they have done this, but they are the part of those people that are even producing food for us.
But there's something about justice. It just gives you this satisfaction that if my concern have been addressed, my pain was recognized. But when they do not see that happening, does it not, open
I said it.
fresh of worry for them?
You look at it from that angle. Initially I said you must be extremely careful. so that it will not be seen as another lucrative means, of doing business. Some youth might say, after all, so person 2 years ago he was in terrorism act, and now he repented and is being integrated. The youths, I say, okay, let me also try it. Let me try my luck. Let me engage. So after 1.5 years, I pray I'm not good. We now said I've repented. And I'm sure the precedents have been laid. They are due to integrate me back into the society in a bigger form. Once if we allow that one to happen, the effect will be too bad. It will be too bad. And those who are in IDP too, there is no how they will see somebody that caused their being at the IDP. They now see him in a lucrative government business. How do you explain that? So that's to sort fit him. There is no excuse you want to give that he will listen, especially if he has not been rehabilitated.
So how do you think we should fight this continuous war, this ongoing battle against terrorism? Because, we are looking at different methods being pulled by the federal government to fight this. And, it's indeed a very long war that we are fighting. No lies about that one. We still have thousands of them out there. We still have different ways that they can actually pour in. And we still have some people who are also, in Nigeria thinking of how to join the terrorists. We still have them picking up children. And we're hearing reports that these same children are being used as foot soldiers, children soldiers, right there, perpetrating the civil on different communities. A war of ideology. How do you think we should continue to approach this war, moving from here on, and what we have done so far?
See, individual, almost everybody, want to survive now. Tomorrow belongs to God. And when tomorrow is not certain, many people who want to survive today will engage in anything that will make them survive today. That is the problem we're having now. And that problem can be solved by, one, good government, fair provisions for ensuring food security, eradications of poverty, and then meaningful educations to the citizen. Because poverty and illiteracy is giving this state or this country is a serious headache or havoc and we need to approach it squarely. There is mass illiteracy. The poverty level is high. So that's why I just laugh at people say, when I was inside there, I was saying, the people were saying they should not accept money when it comes to election. They were preaching. I said, what about those who are giving that it out? Are they not to be the main something? No, and not those who are even taking it. Because I remember in the state, there was lessons sometimes, some few months back, and our old movement, they are saying, we collected 10,000, they say so, before the thing just went up now and they put it off the line. So what I'm saying is that poverty, those people who are recruiting these terrorists into their camp, they are using their level of education and poverty. They gave them money, you did this, you make this, after 1 month you take this, after so you take it. They just forget all other things, So what you need is good government. If there is good government and the government address the needs of the citizen and providing sound education and food security, and psychologically, I think the thing will be reduced.
Okay, Let's look at our security architecture generally in Nigeria. And, you just mentioned good governance and the approach of our government in handling and tackling insecurity in Nigeria. On a regular basis, we hear of attacks in the north central, and it feels like that particular region is under siege. So far, what would you say about the approach of the government? Now, when I say government, I'm talking of both the federal government and, of course, the state levels. So far, do you think the response has been good enough, talking of tackling insecurity? But before you answer that question, we have a commercial break, and when we return, we'll delve into that particular conversation. Please stay with us.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria.
Coleman!
Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
Yeah, thank you very much for staying with us. Before we went on that break, I was asking Sir about, so far, the approach of the government, both on federal and state level. Do you think the approach in tackling insecurity has been encouraging so far?
Well, I think the government is still putting up some reforms in respect of the security situation of this country. I think they have started the process of the state policing. The numbers of the policemen that are employed or security operatives that are employed is extremely minimal when it comes to the numbers of people that should be on board when it comes to the security operation. So if the state police they are trying to implement now is implemented, I'm of the view that well, the security of this country, we need community policing, which state policing will also incorporate. And once they are on board now, and there is the communication, the dissemination of information or intelligence from the remote local area is enhanced, I am of the opinion that things will change. Because one, if you go to this north that you are talking about, you can drive from here to Akure, you will not see a single village. Everything be bush. So if you see one in Akure, before you see another one again. So automatically, if some people now organize to go and infiltrate such a village, how would they have access to security? But if there is community policing within that system, and there is well-established communication and gadget, so I'm of the opinion that things will generally improve.
But so far, do you think our intelligence gathering has been top-notch?
Yes, you cannot do more than the available availabilities of means, because this intelligence gathering you are talking, there are some that will be going through electronic gadgets, through monitoring, and the monitoring may not be physical, that you need to be there, So I think I am of the opinion that the intelligence gathering, they are improving, but the country is extremely large, we need to have representative in every community. And then there should be security education to awareness. Some people, they will pass through certain very vital information that can help the whole country or help the community or help the state. They will just disregard it as if it's no reason.
Why does that happen?
Because of a lack of security education. Security education. Even though some who are even educated, they will see it, they will not, they will just look at it as if it's a normal thing, you know.
Okay, now, since we're talking about security, there is something that broke out some hours ago and raises a lot of questions about how we have been handling it. There's a U.S. lawmaker who is trending presently, and that's because of an allegation level that Nigeria's Minister of the State for Defense, that's Bello Matawale, and she said, allegedly, according to the statement that we have seen outside spreading across board, she accused the minister of offering bribe to U.S. officials to change the narrative of that Christian genocide report that was being done. And this raises a lot of questions. Now, I'm using allegedly because it's there in the viral video. She's the one alleging. But if these things are coming out right now, and we're seeing, the reactions to it, the trust in our security, how do we rebuild it? Because it's easy for people to accept what someone has said in the viral video than for them to believe if the man comes out to say otherwise. So how do we rebuild that trust in our security?
You see, I don't want to use this opportunity to delve into the Americans' affairs. But when you talk about issue of terrorists all over the world, the initiators, I think they are from that side. They will create the problem. They will put up themselves as somebody who is going to solve the problem. You understand what I'm trying to say? So that side, the issue of the United States of America, or you say US or whichever name you call it, at times, when you go very deep into the affairs, all these Saudi Arabia prince or the Middle East something, almost all of them were trained by the US.
So does that mean you're not in support of Nigeria seeking help? I'm
not saying that they should not seek help. When you have a problem, anybody that can solve the problem, you approach that sector. It's not bad, but it is not foreclosed. You can approach any other country too. But when it comes to the US, I personally don't even trust them, because they will deliberately create the problem. You see the issue of Osama the other time. Osama was also trained. They trained them, and at times they will make pronouncement that is not real. See what they did to Mama Gaddafi the other time. They said he had this, at the end of the nothing. See what they did to Saddam Hussein of Iraq. They said he has weapons of mass destruction. The whole world was almost condemned. After the war, no weapons of mass destruction were found. And destruction has been done. See the position of Iraq today, see the position of Libya tomorrow. When they want to find ways to unleash certain things or the other in the country, they will start from something like that. So, offering money at a time. We have seen a Reverend Father who said, yes, there is this genocide of those in the Christendom. And then he provided some evidence. Some were questioned, some were. So for her now to now say that he find, I will know the source, but the weight to be attached to the information should not be as people are thinking.
But then how do we now rebuild? Because you have explained this. We understand what you've explained. But then there's so many people out there who would, like I said, who would rather believe what she has said, what other people are saying, than believe our own security chieftains.
And
So how do we rebuild that trust?
you see, generally, it's though very unfortunate that people love to hear negative news. If he says this person has slump and or it has been rushed to this person, the many people you will see between the next 1 hour, bad news goes faster than good news. So I think that is just the premise.
All right, because of our time, at what point do you think the federal government should completely stop this policy?
Which policy?
Operation
The
Safe Corridor.
Safe Corridor operation, and of course the reintegration and de-radicalization initiative.
I don't think during our discussion we have not been able to condemn it in totality. If we have not been able to condemn
I'm saying
the action.
at what point, what are those key indicators that eventually along the line we will see and then, would make Nigerians call for a total stop of the initiative?
You see, the other time when these similar actions was done, and people noticed the constant jailbreak, especially the one in Kuje, and they were trying to link it to somebody who was terrorist and had been integrated and now put into the prison services and is in the Kuje. Something will happen. By the time there is some similar acts of terrorism, and one or two of them is apprehended, and I think the government will be forced to review it.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Fatai Akinsomi, a legal practitioner and retired intelligence officer, who's been talking to us about the reintegration of 744 ex-terrorists, and of course, matters arising from that particular conversation. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate your input.
Thank you, my sister.
All right, we'll be right back after this break with our second guest. Please stay with us.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. We're still on the conversation, the reintegration of 744 ex-terrorists matters arising. And yes, as we promised, our second guest is right here with us, in the person of Dr. Adewale Ayedun, a forensic and security expert. Good morning and welcome this morning.
Good morning.
Now, we're talking about 744 former terrorists who have just, well, so to speak, completed a federal program under Operation Safe Corridor. They underwent, according to what they told us, de-radicalization, psychological counseling, vocational training, and now they're set to be returned to communities across Nigeria. And in the breakdown, we saw some numbers. About 597 from Borno State alone, others from Adamawa, Yobe, Kano, Plateau, and so much more. And they say that this is part of a broader strategy. They are telling us that over time, we've had about 2,600 ex-terrorists who have already passed through this system before now. And they're trying to tell us that all these moves is just to show that we cannot win the war against terrorism by bullets alone. We also have to, rehabilitate and work some magic with some of them. When you saw this breaking out, sir, what was the first thing that crossed your mind?
Thank you very much. My first question, for reply, you what you say, which corridor is safe in Nigeria today? In Nigeria, give me just one corridor that
Maybe
is.
Trying to create that safe corridor.
Create what? When there is still war, there are still killing going on everywhere. They are killing generals, they are overrunning military bases. You said there is safe corridor. What is safe corridor? To go back to your question, I wasn't comfortable listening to our handler of security saying that some terrorists has been, pardoned. They are repentant. What is the meaning? How do they determine those who repented? I don't know. Within a short period of 6 months, 1 year, you say someone that has killed people, that has overrun communities, that increases our people at the IDP, they have repented. We've seen examples. They overrun Kuje prison. About a month later, those who escaped from Kuje were still arrested with the Boko Haram. And you said there's a safe corridor or they are repentant. We are just wasting our time here. But I don't blame them because those people in charge is a cow, is a cash cow for them to prolong the evil act going on in Nigeria. It's not normal.
Operation Safe Corridor has been in existence since 2016, and
Thank you.
We've been talking about de-radicalization for a long time.
Thank you.
And now, when the news of the 744 ex-terrorists broke out, there were a lot of reactions. But when we talk of de-radicalization, looking at it from 2016 up till now, why is it now we are talking of, reintegrating them back into the society? And when we say reintegrating them, where exactly are we reintegrating them into?
Thank you. Let me use the case of Afghanistan. American people and the NATO, they arrested some Afghan Taliban. They sent them to Guantanamo Bay for de-radicalization. They spent over 10 years there before they were even thinking of releasing them. In the space of 10 years, we have made you to change your mentality. But in your own case now, all that 3 months, 6 months, you said they have repented. How do you determine those who repented? How do you determine it? That's a question that every Nigerian should ask our government. How do you determine that these people have repented? These people who took them back to where they committed the crime. People that they have killed their husband, killed their children, killed their wife, they will still see them. The blood is still in their hand, though. Blood is still in their hand. And said they have repented. Repented where? It's like a lion. When a lion tastes human blood, he will not eat goat again. Go and ask those animal scientists. They will tell you. And in lion, they must kill that lion. But in our case, I don't say they should kill them if they think they can repent. If they think they can repent. Because they killed Major General, they overrun bases, they killed a lot of people. All those ones that we are hearing is because they are big men. What of the rank and file? Thousands of them are killed every day. Why is still going on? You said some people have repented. How do you determine it?
And talking of the military, I mean, just a few days ago, in fact, in the last 2 weeks, we could count the number of, our military soldiers that were killed by
yes.
terrorists. Yes. And now, when we talk about, reintegration, de-radicalization and reintegration, what's that speaking of in terms of the morale of our troops?
The morale will be totally down, collapse. Because there's no way you see someone that killed your commander, someone that has destroyed your base. You met him at the IDP. What are you doing here? Is it not these people that came to attack us? You meet them there. How will you feel psychologically? Your morale will be totally destroyed. Not that the American people are so powerful. They use people. In the days of our forefathers, they have agele. They have those who will report to them. Where America has assets in Nigeria here, not physical assets like building. People that report what is going on to them. Why can't we employ such people to give us information?
Do you think we do not have them?
Those that we have, they are so comfortable, but someone is paying them every month. What was the result given to them? They must have written a report. That is the report of my activities.
Doctor, some people are of the school of thought that we have, good intelligence structure being put in place in Nigeria, but the people behind the intelligence might not just be handling it, well. Do you also share, from that school of thought?
Thank you. You see a general with pot belly. Someone rose to the position of a general without going to war. Those who go to war, they will not be promoted. They won't be in the position of authority. Someone who is a sympathizer of Boko Haram will be at the top, commanding. Giving order to those at the war front. How do you expect them to win the war? We need reorientation. We need to retrain our people. We need to go into what is going on. The government should ask questions. This thing has been prolonged since 2011 or 20.
But Doctor, how would the government ask questions when just some days back now, some of those slain soldiers, military men, some with good ranking, were murdered, were slaughtered by terrorists. And when they were to be buried, in the same state where we had government officials visiting for a wedding, none of them were right there at the burial ceremony. Yeah. Now, how will they ask the questions? How will they boost the morale of these soldiers who are still out there? How will they encourage them to fight the war the right way with some of those things that we've seen?
That is what causes psychological depression to all these military men. Most of them are no more committed. There's report of a war everywhere, every day. But we have a problem, fundamental problem, that we have not resolved. There was a noise about Matawali recently. Government is not looking at that side. He's still a minister today. NSA, our NSA, Ribadu, he was the first person that came on here that they brought over 2 million foreigners to Nigeria during Buhari, for Buhari to secure his presidential something. El-Rufai was part of that scheme. Gumi is there, roaming about. Nothing happens. And these are people that have link to those who form the terrorists that are, terrorizing Nigeria today. What has government done to it? If instead of taking them out and giving them proper profiling, they still give them authority to oversee our security something. You employ Matawale as Minister of Defense, Ribadu as National Security Advisor. We're in the same country. Do you do that? It's like taking Osama bin Laden to be Minister of Defense in America. We have a problem in this country. We are in 2026. They have been talking about 2027 and 2030 in Nigeria. One man, I will not mention his name, is one of the top people in Nigeria. He was saying that Boko Haram will go into extinction by after 2027 election. You know, it's madness.
Okay, we would not want to use such words, Doctor. But looking at, I mean, your reaction, of course, we could tell it's not an acceptable initiative.
At all.
But looking at, the standpoint of our leaders now, especially let's look at the federal government, talking of, the president being the chief security officer, do you think the president is doing enough? Talking of his advisors, do you think he's doing enough in tackling this issue of insecurity?
Well, the president we have today, on paper, is chief security officer. What security background does he have?
I mean, that's why
he will
has,
rely on the advisors.
Yes.
How many of them are profiled to know their background? If you talk about advisor, national security advisor is there. He has a case to answer. Nothing has happened. Matawale is there. He has a case to answer. Those are the advisors that relate to the security. And if you look back, you see that things are escalating when these people came in. Look, terrorists cannot come to just one military base and overrun it without information. There are double agents and moles within the government itself.
Do you think the government is looking at the right direction in
They are
terms
not.
of tackling?
They are not. I want to say it without missing word. They are not.
So this is not an issue of, security structure or the fight against insecurity being overrun by, the terrorists.
We have trained people, trained personnel who can do the job.
Do we have enough?
We have enough. Oh.
So what exactly is the
If
problem?
you say we don't have enough, in the days of our forefathers, your empire control up to Dahomey, Benin Republic and everywhere, even up to Ghana. Do they have the military that goes to Ghana? They have people there that have been put there. You guide this area, you guide this area. Are they implementing such a system here? Those who, I said those who need the job are not employed. They just take a list to recruitment center. Our children just employed. And they are not committed.
Doctor.
Because, let me tell you, if you want to say they are committed, how possible for Boko Haram to enter into a military base? Before you get to the general, look at the layers of checkpoint, layers of security, and they overrun it. Even the one that Ibrahim, or what do you call it, that was killed recently, they say he entered into the armor tank. The armor tank is not working. Who removed the
So are you
plane?
saying there are saboteurs among?
Of course, there are moles there.
Okay, Doctor, now let's look at it from a different light. We've seen different moves being pulled by the federal government in trying to fight this battle.
Okay.
We've seen Operation Safe Corridor over time. We've seen them with airstrikes, most recently the GDE airstrike, and we've seen the reaction from people. We've seen them, talk about forest guards. We've seen them talk about, combining security forces amongst other things. But this is what we still have right here in front of us.
Okay.
What exactly do you think we can do to better our approach to this fight that would raise, the right results right there? But before we delve into that, we'll take this commercial break. And when we come right back, we'll talk about the best approach that will give us a solution against this long-drawn battle.
No problem.
Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. We're still talking about the reintegration of 744 ex-terrorists and the matters arising from that. And we have Dr. Adewale Ayedun, a forensic expert and a security expert as well, who's been answering those questions. And it was, the last, analysis from you that has made me to ask if there is a better approach to fighting this? Because you said we are not committed with the security forces, and there are so many issues rising from that. So, what better approach do you think they should have been utilizing?
Thank you very much. If I'm the president of Nigeria today, what the step I'm going to take, it may not be easy, but I will make sure that my body language is telling them that this is what I want to do. It depends on those who are at the table. If I employ you as my chief of defense staff and there's security lapses, I must ask you a question. What have you been doing? Let me see your template. You see, from recruitment, from management of their resources, from the equipment you are buying for them, who is monitoring them? Everybody is just doing whatever he likes. This thing has become a cash cow.
Now, this is the second time you're using cash cows.
Yes.
What exactly do you mean by cash cows?
They are buying equipment, they are buying weapons. What the one did that former NSA? They say over $2 billion. What has happened to that $2 billion up to today? Nothing happens. So the person that will come in next will take his own too.
Are you saying they didn't buy equipment at all?
I don't say. But is it worth $2 billion? We have had in this present government that someone gave AK-47 to some, these Fulani others. They took it to Kwara State to terrorize people. Nothing happens. So the body language of the president himself is not telling us that they are serious with the security arrangement.
But I remember he went to some states and he asked questions of, the security chiefs in there after, one of those attacks.
He asked them, is that how to do it? I want to give you one example. It's a very lovely example that I used to give. When Anini was terrorizing Edo State, Benin then, is it Edo? I don't know. Then, Anini was terrorizing. At the Security Council meeting in Abuja, Babangida asked the Inspector General of Police, where is Anini? That man understands that language. Where is Anini? You know, Anini was arrested that week. That very week. Because that's a pregnant word. Those are the people that knows what they are doing. He said, where is Anini? Anini was arrested that same week. That has been evading arrest for months. For months. He was arrested that week because the IGP know that his work is on the line. They got him arrested that very week. You have chief of defense staff, you have chief of general staff, you have chief of this, you have brigadier general, you have colonel, you have all these things, collecting salary in millions every month. In millions. You don't ask them, why are this? This thing has escalated in more than 20-fold after this government came in. What happened? And this man has bought equipment for them. Where is the equipment? Is it on paper? Or has the equipment been delivered?
I mean, could we also say they are not enough?
They are not enough. They said they want Tekano. I think they bought about 18 or 20 for them. What is the result of the Tekano now? I think they went to Pakistan or something like that to buy attack helicopter again. What happened to it? You are paying ransom to bandits. You are giving them motorcycle. Why can't you put tracker on that motorcycle to know their location?
I mean, are you saying, apart from even doing that, Nigerian government really do not have an idea of how
they
to
have
track
idea. It
the
depends on
terrorists?
the person that controls. Because I have friends there who are security people that well trained. They are trained locally and internationally. They can do it, but who give them the order to do it?
So you're saying we lack political will to solve
There is no political will to solve the problem. That's why I say it's now a cash cow. They don't probe, nobody probe how much they spend on security. They just spend it. There's problem here, there's problem here.
I mean,
There's one, I think, I've forgotten the name of the musician now. He said, people start a war anytime they want. Some for their own, just to say, I want to disturb these people. Some for some other benefits. That is what is happening here in Nigeria. The body language of those who are ruling us should tell those people at the helm of security affairs that I don't tolerate it. If you mess up, I will charge you as an accomplice. If that happens, you will see that everything will change immediately.
All right, Doctor, as a forensic and security expert now, I still want us to talk about, the funds allocated to, tackling insecurity in Nigeria. We've heard some stakeholders, some security experts, say security is expensive to manage, it's general. We see, other countries, let's just say the West, for instance, and how they take security seriously and how much is being spent on security. Let's look at the President Tinubu's administration since he assumed office, and of course the trend in the monies being allocated. Talking of the budget, yearly budget on security and defense, in 2024, we had 3.85 trillion naira. In 2025, we had 4.91 trillion naira. And in 2026, 5.41 trillion naira. It increases yearly. Do you think it's still not enough?
Thank you very much. The one that we are given, how do they manage it?
Doctor, I also want you to talk about, the issue of drones, the issue of the jet you talked about, and other. And when we also talk of intelligence, do we also tip, the people coming to give us information about the whereabouts, the hideout of these terrorists? Is that also supposed to be, talking of the budget, part of what the money should be used for?
Thank you. Let me start from that one. It's part of the money, the PR to those who give you. That's why we have source, that is agents of, like CIA, like KGB, they have agents within Nigeria. They collect stipend every month. The same way, if you localize your intelligence gathering, there are people in that terrain who knows the terrain very well, who knows the people, their activities, everything. They are not being used. Our baales are not bars here. They are supposed to be their chief security officer of their area. What is the government doing? How is the government using them? Those baales knows some boys that can work with them, that can tell them what is going on. Even if there's any attack, those boys will come out. They are there. Are they being encouraged? They were not. You see, the problem we have is we are budgeting every year. Application of that budget, how? You find out how are they being, expended. You only hear the figure, what is actually happening. It's increasing every day. Today, terrorists have drones. Terrorists, Boko Haram, they have acquired drones. They have acquired anti-aircraft guns, anti-tank guns. Boko Haram, they were not, imaginary, real. We have borders with custom. When you are bringing rice in or you are bringing Ankara, the custom will arrest you. But they cannot arrest those who brought gun. And we have a head of custom in Nigeria. Someone is supplying fuel to those people in the bush that they use to power their motorcycles and generators. No information about how they got the source of their petrol.
Of course, we've heard that some of this is also part of
all the money being collected by bandits. All our resources that are being extracted by the Boko Haram in their area of command. Who is giving us information about it? But if we want to get it, we can get it if we localize. We forget those people in the office. Okay. Localize our intelligence gathering.
Doctor, speaking of what you just mentioned now, recently, some people have been protesting in some states, in some communities, that their local youth have been the ones protecting them. But members of the Nigerian military come
apprehend these youth, post their pictures and say they are bandits, and then not too long after, this arrests come, they get some certain wave of attacks.
Thank you.
And it raises questions about Operation Safe Corridor in some places, because there's no way you would not think of the fact that the federal government did mention that this has been a system in place for a while. Over 2,000 of them reintegrated, some of them into the military over the years, as reported by some. So, I mean, how does that unravel? Who's leaking these reports? What's happening in those communities?
In counter-terrorism and intelligence gathering, you have more. You have double agents. Let me leave it that way. Someone that has been part of Boko Haram before, integrate such a person into the community or into the army. You give him another license. His loyalty to those people cannot be removed over the night. Just like that. His loyalty to the community he belonged to before cannot just be waived just like that. He will supply information. He will give military movement everything you are doing. He will supply it. So we have double agent that will be here, working here. You think is a staff here, and reporting to outsiders, collecting your information here and collecting from others too. We have them. Our security personnel, they know all these things. It depends on how they implement. We have more that you will be the one sniffing for information here. As you move out, we just, God, this is what is happening here. We have them. That is why you see they know the kind of weapon they have at military bases. Those people, those youth that they are arrested, that you are talking about, they know they are the one disturbing them to achieve their aims. That's why you see wave of attack after the arrest of those boys. Government is not doing anything. That will arouse suspicion for the government to investigate what is happening. Why is it after the arrest of these boys that the terrorists attacked them? You get what I'm saying? They need further information, further probe to know what is underneath. You don't look at the surface. That's why in forensic, you don't look at what is on the pages. Had you had 1 plus half, 1 plus 2, 1 plus minus to become 1 or to become 2?
What if the reports they're getting from people on ground is different from what we have been seeing?
In intelligence gathering, we have layers of information. You have about 3 sets or 4 that will go for investigating about one topic. You supply your own. Another people will, compare with other sources. Another people will analyze everything that you have said and sum it up and give one good advice. All the reports will be laid on the table of the commander, who now have a think tank to work on it. Who is doing that? The way intelligence gathering works is it's like magic. It's like magical if you implement it properly. I handled one issue yesterday. People were surprised how I handled it. They were surprised because they don't know what I have in mind. They even thought I was part of those schemes. But I was not. I'm doing my job. So when we arrived at the point I was going, everybody was just looking at me like this. That's the way security and intelligence gathering works. Not that you just say, carry them, go there, go. No, you don't do that.
All right.
Discreet underground work. You get the information you need.
But do you think we are not discreet enough in terms of intelligence gathering and in terms of attacking or fighting against these terrorists?
Fighting cannot solve the issue. Adequate intelligence gathering, synergy with other security apparatus.
What about the non-kinetic approach that has been said so far? Do you think it also helps, or does it work?
Well, to them it may work, but with the result we are seeing, it's not working. With the result we are seeing today, it's not working. There is no day they will not kill one soldier. And you say it's working. Is it working? Instead of reducing, it's escalating. You know they are coming southward now. And you say in the eastern part, they said they arrested about 480-something terrorists going to Port Harcourt. I said it's not working. If you are using a system consistently for 10 years and it's not working, you change your system, change your approach.
Do you agree with some people who believe that our security has been politicized?
I can't rule it out. I said it's about recruitment now. They just write list. Go and give them. They must employ those people, those who are qualified, who are ready to do the job, who has interest in doing the job, are not being given the opportunity. You see, go to their military headquarters, you see one young graduate will be general that has never fought a war in his life. You see people in a shoulder like this. A person that fight Ojuku, Biafran War, fight in Sierra Leone, fight in Congo, fight in Liberia, will not be promoted. Most of them still remain rank and file today. You get what I'm saying? One small boy will just come and be their commander. I think they will be loyal.
Okay, now we need to ask about the victims who have been displaced over the years. Those whose families have gone to violent attacks and those whose communities have been sacked. We are seeing reintegration for the ex-terrorists in numbers. And it's almost like there's nothing for, even at the IDPs, some people are questioning the welfare of those, who have suffered losses over the years. What does this make of us?
Thank you very much. You see, the attitude of government to those at the IDP even increased the number of recruits that these Boko Haram people get. They are in the IDP, they are suffering, they cannot eat. One idiot just come and say, take $20, take $100. Come today, tomorrow, give him another $20. He will eat, he will enjoy his life. Is he not going to be loyal to that person? Our government, they neglected those people at the IDP. No water, no sanitation, nothing. Then you now brought back those who turned them to refugees, and they will be seeing it every day. Is it normal?
And talking of
law
reintegration,
of natural justice is there. Is it normal? Someone that has turned you to refugee in your own community, you brought such a person back as a free man.
And earlier, Doctor, at the beginning when I asked you reintegration, and I was asking, where exactly will they be reintegrated back into?
Thank you.
Because in Borno State, according to the reports, these terrorists, I think over 500 of them are from Borno State alone.
Yes.
So where exactly will they send, these
that's why
ex-terrorists?
Yes, that's why I explained to you about Guantanamo Bay and Afghan. When Afghan Taliban were arrested. Not after 10 years. And 10 years is enough to forget about all those criminal activities if they are properly given orientation. You took them, someone that has fought and arrested at the war front. At the war front, you took them round merry-go-round for 3 months, you brought them back as repentant. How do you determine those who repented? What kind of training, what kinds of psychological training have you given to them? What kind of orientation have you given to them within 1 year that you think is enough to bring them back?
Let's also look at
if they want to reintegrate them, let them use the system of the American use. Have a concentration somewhere. Put them there. Feed them. Give them free hand to enjoy themselves. Pamper them. For 5 years, their mentality will change. But you brought them back to where war is still going on. War is still going on. IDP is still there. They will be suffering. They won't have food. They won't have regular light. All the normal life, they will not enjoy it again. And you think they will not go back to where they come from. they will go back.
Doctor, let's look at foreign relationship with other terrorist groups outside Nigeria. According to reports, we have 597 from Borno State, 58 from Yobe, 15 from Kano, and we have 8 foreign nationals among them. Now, looking at these 8, will they be integrated back into Nigerian society, or they will be taken back to their home countries?
They will report.
And what's the assurance that when they eventually get back to their home countries, or even reintegrated back into Nigeria, there will still be no communication? Also, considering the fact that we do not have an accurate database in Nigeria, how do you think Nigerian government can sustain, this program, this initiative?
Government, as far as I'm concerned, with my level of understanding and training, I don't think the government are serious about stopping this menace. Why? It's too early for when the war is still going, it's too early for anybody to determine those who are repent or have not repented. This war has been since 2011. They have been terrorizing Nigeria since 2011. And it's never stopped up to today. And you say some people are repented. Who repented? We have seen time and times again that we see those that they said they are repentant going back to fight. They must have gathered enough information in the community and go back to supply them. The kind of management they give to those terrorists and the IDP people, is it proper? You brought them back. You cannot bring them back to where the war is still going on. Borno State is volatile, is overrun by insurgents. You still take them there. Someone that has seen blood. I use the case of a lion that has eaten human blood. I said, he will not eat goat again. He will be looking for human blood unless they kill the lion. If you give him goat tomorrow, he will not eat. It's normal. In Yoruba, when you kill somebody at the war front, you kill somebody like this, all the fear is gone. All the fear is gone. That's why you see armed robber, when they shoot somebody today, tomorrow they will still kill wherever they go. Because their mind has been hardened. Spiritually, they're hardened.
Doctor, so, still from the angle of the victims now, when we talk of reintegration, should the people also be calling for restitution?
Definitely. It's the duty of government to take care of them and restore them back to their former position. If not fully, at least 50%, so that will make them comfortable.
Well, Doctor, the other time you mentioned taking them to concentration camps. Are there other methods, maybe in a way they can help revitalize the nation, maybe as part of their punishments, while being rehabilitated? You are making them see that they have done wrong, you are trying to de-radicalize them, and then you can also show them that they can be productive for the nation.
Yes, not immediately. When they take hardened criminal to the correctional center here, in the next 2 years, those hardened criminals will not come out. They won't take them out. You can't see them among those who they use for many a job outside. No.
So what can these ones do?
This one, at least after 5 years.
Well, what can they do in that time?
They can employ them, train them, organize school for them, or skill, let them learn skill within the confines of their centers. By that time, they know they have something to fall back on when they get back. But no training, nothing. It's never done.
We still have about 5,000 of these, confirmed terrorists awaiting trial. And yes, we have 744 also, waiting to be reintegrated.
Okay.
Now, what's the difference between these two categories of people? What makes the 744 qualified to be reintegrated and over the 5,000, waiting to be tried?
Thank you. They told us that they have repented. How they determine those who have repented, the psychological tests they did for them, they conducted on them, the kind of profiling they conducted on them, the spiritual aspect that they feel qualified them to be called repentant. I don't know, because I don't have the yardstick. But what I'm saying is that even when where they say they have repented, one ní kì í tán lára wèrè kó má kú páì. When a madman, someone that has been mad before, one day he will strike. It may be for a few minutes, not on a regular basis, but he will still come back.
Okay, so what's your last word to?
My last word is that those people at the end of affair, their body language should show us that they are serious about security. They should not bring those people that they call repentant back to the community where they committed the crime.
And also to state governors and local government.
They are our governors. Well, they are trying. I'm not saying they are not trying. But they should localize their security arrangement.
Okay.
So that people who knows the terrain will give them information.
Okay.
I think that would be the best bet to solve the problem.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank
Dr. Adewale Ayedun, forensic and security expert, who's joined us on the conversation around the reintegration of 744 ex-terrorists. And yes, the matters arising from there on. We say thank you on behalf of the entire production
Thank you
crew
very much.
of AM120.
Thank you.
All right, now we take a break, and yes,